live. Well recorded for those of you watching.
But it's live right now.
But yes, it is live. From the Nexus Earth Conference in Aspen, Colorado, it's the Bad Crypto Podcast. Joel Comm here, Travis right there, and sitting between us, it is Bitcoin Jesus, Roger Ver. Do you mind being introduced like that?
Things didn't work out so well for the original Jesus, and I definitely didn't choose that name for myself.
Yeah,
so I prefer to be called Roger.
Roger it is.
I don't see Pontius Pilate anywhere.
And he is the CEO of Bitcoin.com. Look at that product placement. That's your lower third, right there.
I'll just hold it the entire time to the interview.
How you doing, man?
I'm a little bit jet lagged, but pretty good other than that. How about yourself?
Well, we might make it a little rough on you because, you know, the puns, they fly, and the witty banter.
I'll try to keep up.
I'm sure you can handle it. So when did you get into crypto?
So somebody else asked me that earlier today, and actually I think the answer was probably when I was a teenager in the 90s, reading books about futures in which people had money that wasn't issued by governments, and you could anonymously send it and receive it with other people, and nobody could control it. And I thought, oh wow, the world's going to change in so many interesting ways once that exists. And then when I heard about Bitcoin for the first time, I was like, yes! The science fiction money I read about as a kid is finally here. We can finally use it.
So and what year was that for you?
That was February of 2011.
Wow. So really, really early, and Bitcoin was at what?
It was less than $1. Yeah.
Less than $1. So you bought a couple.
Yeah, I bought
like five?
at least two. Yeah.
That's been a $5.
Yeah.
Very nice. So you've seen a lot of changes in this industry since February of 2011. For those who don't know, this is September 2017. The future.
Synchronize your watches.
So, this podcast here, we're actually talking to folks, helping them understand the whole crypto space. And so we're kind of walking them through that. And so I think some people are getting a little freaked out. It goes up, and then it goes down, and then it goes up. I mean, what is some of the advice that you might give somebody who is just now starting to get into this crypto space?
I just so happen to know a really good website where people can learn all about Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.com.
This show not brought to you by Bitcoin.com, but we'll talk.
So I guess the easiest way is to actually start using it. Like, you can read about it and hear about it and watch all sorts of YouTube videos and
what did I tell
podcasts.
you? Use it.
Use it. Okay. Read
Best,
books.
Yeah, the best way is to download a wallet, and I recommend the Bitcoin.com wallet, of course. But Bitcoin's like email.
We're counting how many times on the video we need a little ding every time he mentions Bitcoin.com.
So Bitcoin is like email, though. You have a million different choices between Gmail and Yahoo and Hotmail and whatnot. With Bitcoin, there's a million different wallet choices as well. Feel free to try out a couple, even if they're not Bitcoin.com wallets. They're all good. Make sure you're choosing a wallet in which you're holding the private keys yourself. That's a very, very important thing. Like, lots of times you hear about people losing their Bitcoins or having something be hacked. That's almost always because they weren't holding the Bitcoins themselves. They were using the equivalent of a Bitcoin bank. So always hold your Bitcoins yourself. And then, send and receive something, buy something, send some to your friends, start using it, and you'll be like, oh, this sounded so hard and complicated, but now that I've used it, it's probably even easier than email.
That first time, do you remember the first time that you sent?
It felt like magic internet money. So I don't remember the first time that I sent, because you have to receive before you can send some Bitcoin. And I received my first, I think he sent a whole Bitcoin at the time. There was a Bitcoin faucet where you would just go and post your Bitcoin address, and anybody could get some Bitcoin and send it to you. And I remember I pasted my Bitcoin address into this website and hit, give me some free Bitcoin. And then at this time, there were no iPhone apps for Bitcoin wallets. There were no Android apps. There was absolutely nothing except for the full Satoshi client on your computer. And I remember, requesting the money from the website, and then boom, it showed up on my computer. And I realized, wow, the money actually went from some server on the internet to my laptop while I was sitting in bed. Mm-hmm. And there it was. Like, this actually works.
And he wondered, was sitting in bed the thing that made it work?
I was like, I want to click this faucet all day long every day. I remember the first faucet, they gave away 5 Bitcoin every time. Like, where the hell was I then?
Yeah, well, that's what everybody's
but
saying.
They weren't worth much of anything at that point.
True.
Yeah, who knew? So in speaking to newbies, those that are crypto curious, as we like to say, the volatility in the market is just, buckle in and hold on. What would you tell people before they invested a single dollar to prep them?
So don't invest money that you can't afford to lose. You could potentially lose all of your money from cryptocurrency, the particular cryptocurrency that you buy crashing to zero. You could also potentially lose all of it to hackers. So you have to be very careful and very, very aware. But the other really good part about the volatility is that the long-term volatility is definitely up. cryptocurrencies are really exploding in popularity. And once you've used them and you see how much easier they are than PayPal or a bank or a credit card, you'll realize, wow, people are going to start using this for everything. And because the supply is limited, as more and more people start to use it, the price will go up in terms of dollars. So from my point of view, I want to be exposed to as much of that volatility over the longest period of time I possibly can. And that's worked out fantastic for me over the last 7 years. And I think it's going to continue to work out fantastic into the future as well.
Right on. So do you trade it when it goes high? Do you buy the dips and sell the highs? Or you just kind of hold on?
He's a hodler.
Yeah,
hodler?
I'm definitely a hodler. Like I know my weaknesses and where my strengths and weaknesses are, and I'm definitely not a good day trader. If I started day trading, I probably wouldn't have any Bitcoins left at all. So
biting your nails.
I just buy and hold the whole way through.
So is hodl hold on for dear life? Is that the origin of this? Because that's what he seems to think.
No, I'm pretty sure the origin was just somebody was typing on the keyboard and they hit the D before the L when trying to write hold.
Yes!
That's my
Suck
understanding.
it, Joel Com.
I didn't say it's where it started. I said that's what it means to me.
It can be both. Yeah, why not both?
Why not both? Why can't we have both? So, in hodling, you clearly are a believer that long term the value is going to increase. And so, no predictions here because, none of us want to see John McAfee perform that unholy act on national TV. But certainly, you've been around long enough and have done the math on this. Where do you see Bitcoin in a year, 3 years, 5 years?
So when you say where do you see Bitcoin, we need to specify because at the moment there's actually two versions of Bitcoin. So there's Bitcoin SegWit and Bitcoin Cash. And if you look at the two of them, like we have an 8-year track record of what brought Bitcoin from nothing to where it was about a year ago. And that was low fees and fast confirmations and super easy to use for everybody. And your transactions were always included in the very next block. And I know this is supposed to be a lighthearted show to some extent, but
No, bring us down, man. Bum us out.
Yeah, I'll bum you out a little bit. So
Joel's already bummed out about the hold on for dear life.
one group of people got involved, and for whatever strange reason, they think that Bitcoin is better if it has high fees and slow confirmations and is inconvenient to use. And anybody, I think, with any sort of common sense or actually who's used Bitcoin would realize that you would rather have a Bitcoin that's fast and cheap and easy to use. So you have Bitcoin SegWit that's slow and expensive and indeterminate when your transactions are
That's the original
confirmed.
Bitcoin.
I don't think it is, to be honest. So if you read the actual Satoshi white paper, it says right in the white paper that the definition of Bitcoin is a chain of digital signatures. And SegWit is short for segregated witness, and they're talking about segregating the witness signatures from the rest of the transaction. So if you've separated and gotten rid of the signatures, by the very definition of Bitcoin in the Bitcoin white paper, it's no longer Bitcoin. It doesn't mean that it's not something that can be used as money or that it doesn't have use, but by the definition given in the original white paper, that SegWit Bitcoin transactions are not Bitcoin transactions.
So we're learning still. So the one that you've mentioned here is actually Bitcoin Cash.
So Bitcoin Cash is the other one that split off of the other version of Bitcoin back on August 1st.
Okay.
And that one still has all the characteristics that led to Bitcoin's original success. The fees are about a penny per transaction. They're always included in the very next block. And more wallets, including the Bitcoin.com wallet, of course, already supports it. More and more businesses are integrating it. And like all of our new infrastructure that we're building on Bitcoin.com, we're building on Bitcoin Cash. We're not building on Bitcoin
Okay, so
SegWit.
you are a Bitcoin Cash proponent, and you believe that that's going places.
I definitely am, although I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist either. So there's 1,001 different cryptocurrencies out there. You have your nice Litecoin shirt on. There's Dash, there's Monero, Zcash, Zcoin. There's 1,001
There's
down
bad
the list.
coin too.
I don't own any bad coin yet, but I'll have to place an order for that.
We'll give some to you. It's the official currency token of the Bad Crypto Podcast.
I'm looking forward to
So
it.
we're going to make you an instant bad coin millionaire, and you'll be like, this is worthless.
I'd be like, don't hodl.
Yeah.
Sell!
I had a question. So yesterday, Charlie Lee of Litecoin, he mentioned that Bitcoin and Litecoin did the first atomic swap, right, from 1 to 1, because and he goes, that's the power of SegWit. So what are your thoughts on that? And atomic swaps. Can you explain that to our audience? Because I don't think that we're smart enough to explain that yet.
So you're moving one asset from one blockchain to another blockchain, but that's not the power of SegWit. You can do that without SegWit. SegWit's not required in any way to do that. So you just need any fix or transaction malleability, and SegWit does it in a very messy, dirty way that's not needed. And think about it, like Bitcoin didn't have SegWit and didn't have cross-chain atomic swaps for the entire history of Bitcoin up until a couple of weeks ago. And it went from nobody using it to millions of people around the world to where there's more podcasts even than we can count. This is the best one, of course, but there's lots of other ones as well. And the people that are pushing the SegWit thing, they intentionally and openly say they want Bitcoin to have high fees. They want Bitcoin transactions to be slow and indeterminate when they're going to be confirmed. That's kryptonite to the adoption of Bitcoin. So we should stay on the same path for Bitcoin that led to its amazing success, bringing it from zero to this worldwide phenomenon that it is today. And Bitcoin Cash still has all of those characteristics. Bitcoin SegWit does not. So if you own Bitcoin on August 1st, you own Bitcoin SegWit and Bitcoin Cash. You own both of those. The Bitcoin.com wallet can help you access both of those if you haven't done that yet.
Number 6.
Number 7's coming soon. Don't
Excellent.
worry.
We heard there's another fork coming.
And there's probably another fork coming
Is
too.
that SegWit's going to fork again?
So you'll have,
what
yes,
the fork's going on, Roger?
Bitcoin SegWit's going to fork from Bitcoin SegWit 1 megabyte to Bitcoin SegWit 2 megabyte, and then you'll have Bitcoin Cash. So there'll be 3 versions of Bitcoin at that point. But
So it just keeps, like, those of us that are hodling, we just keep getting
more and more free coins, like bad coins.
Yay! Only worth something.
Well, we'll see. I think the SegWit 1 megabyte version of Bitcoin will probably be the weakest and have the lowest value of the 3.
And that's
my
the one
guess.
that's nearly $4,000 right now, or 3,500 or 3,700.
Yeah, but all the people that are using that, I guess you can think that one contains both versions at the moment, and it's getting ready to divide into Bitcoin SegWit 1 megabyte and Bitcoin SegWit 2 megabyte. But pretty much all the businesses and the users of that chain have all said that they're going to go in the direction of the Bitcoin SegWit 2 megabyte, with the exception of a very few loud people on the internet that don't really seem to even use Bitcoin very often, or if at all.
And then how long until it's Bitcoin SegWit 8 megabyte?
I think the 2 megabyte people want to see 8 megabytes at some point in the future as well.
Look, is it going to split again, or is it going to add onto it?
Time will tell.
Good Lord.
You travel all over the world. You talk to a lot of people. You kind of got your finger on the pulse of what's happening with governments, right? And
Did I laugh too loud? Sorry.
no, it was very clear though. So one of the fears, people say, look, it's decentralized. You can't stop it, and I believe that's true. But as we just observed in China, certain authoritarian governments can certainly put the kibosh, points for kibosh, on. We should have a little ding in the
That's
show.
like the 11th
anytime
time kibosh has been said,
mentioned.
no, we just had it.
So the U.S. government, what do you think is the likelihood of the U.S. government making cryptocurrency illegal, except for a Fed coin?
Close to zero. I think there's lots of politicians that already own Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies at this point.
And constituencies that
and
are
lots of-
large donors.
And at the end of the day, I don't think it actually matters all that much, because even if Bitcoin were to be made completely illegal in the U.S. and China, let's say it's legal in some other country, everyone in the U.S. and China can look at the Bitcoin exchanges in that other country and see what the price is, and continue transacting just like that. So Bitcoin works well for commerce, whether it's $1 a Bitcoin or $1 million a Bitcoin. You can still send and receive lots of money with it. So it's more fun if the price is going towards $1 million than towards $1, but it works either way.
Especially if you're hodling, as you are.
Yeah. I want to ask a question about how blockchain is disrupting all these different industries. I mean, I think we lost count, somewhere over 30 different industries that blockchain is now sort of coming in, and that technology and the open ledger is creating all this transparency and disrupting these complete industries. What are some of the more interesting uses of blockchain, and which industries are you seeing that are being disrupted that have your attention?
So because of my background being in studying economics, the part that's the most interesting to me by far is the monetary aspect. So Bitcoin's about to disrupt every bank on the planet. You can now have a bank on your phone and send and receive any amount of money with anyone else, and you don't need Bank of America or Wells Fargo or take your pick. Yeah. Bank of America and Wells Fargo, you guys are decent. Bank of the West, I really don't like you guys. So.
What about
How
like
about
Ripple?
J.P. Morgan Chase?
Yeah.
What do we think of them?
Well, I'll tell you a Bank of the West story. So I went to open an account at Bank of the West, and they agreed. They opened an account, and I gave them a $100 bill to open it. And then that was on a Thursday, and I never ever made a single transaction at all. I didn't buy or sell any Bitcoin or anything. I just simply opened the account, and so that was on Thursday. On Monday, I received in the mail a letter saying that they were closing my account. So
Nice.
it was open for like 48 hours.
For why?
I suspect maybe they Googled me and then realized that maybe I have a little bit too much to do with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies.
Wow.
But I thought that was pretty poor form of Bank of the West's part.
Bank of the West, wank of the best.
Who are you watching? Which individuals in the space do you read regularly or keep up with what they're doing?
One of the other future things that I think is going to be really interesting are prediction markets in Bitcoin. And so there's a guy named Paul Stork that's the inventor of Bitcoin Hive Mind, that I think he has lots of really, really interesting insights, and I enjoy hearing and seeing what he has to say. And then when I'm tired of working on Bitcoin.com and doing all that all day, when I need a break from that, I like to go on YouTube and watch Bitcoin videos. So I'll go on YouTube and watch more stuff about Bitcoin when I'm tired of working on Bitcoin.
Excellent. Well, wait till you hear how the show plays back after we do some voice changes on you, throw in some sound effects. Travis, last question to you.
Yeah, so you mentioned about banking and different things, and so, what about some of these banks that are creating their own cryptocurrencies, or what about Lumens, or what about Ripple? Because I mean, you do some transactions in Ripple, and it's like, boom, wow, holy cow, it is in my account already, wow, it's so fast. But it seems like that they're being adopted by more of these banks, but it's also kind of like, damn, there's so many of them, and Ripple owns a lot of them, right? So there's not, so what are your thoughts on some of those? Because it seems like maybe some of those banks are becoming a little more warmed up to those technologies.
So a little interesting piece of history. So I was actually the person that put up the seed money to start Ripple.
Is that right?
That's right. And
Wow.
so this
We
is back
did not know this.
Did not know that. Great question, Travis.
This was a great question. This was back in 2012, and the original idea was that Bitcoin mining was wasteful, so we should make a version of Bitcoin that didn't need mining. So I'm like, yeah, that sounds good to me. And Bitcoin was like, I don't know, $2, $3 at the time. And so I put up the money for that, and then now Ripple was born, and I have absolutely no idea what they're up to at the moment. So I know the history of the origin of Ripple, but banks seem to be interested. The price has been zipping up and down, but I don't know the details.
Well,
of
there's
what they're
only
up to
80
specifically.
billion.
It's not 80 trillion.
80 billion
not
coins,
sure.
right? Which is 70 billion more than there are bad coin.
That's true.
So they have that going for them.
Yeah, big, large market cap.
Roger, thanks so much for joining us on the Bad Crypto Podcast. I know you're jet lagged. We're going to let you go.
Number 8, I think.
Endorsement
Bitcoin.com.
number 8. Check out bitcoin.com is one of Roger's many projects. I'm sure that you have little Bitcoin seedlings everywhere.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Thanks,
So-
man. Appreciate it.
Hallelujah,
Appreciate it.
Bitcoin Jesus.